Josh Elliot was the furthest thing from your common man. He sure looked human, but the people close to him questioned his morality as if he was the devil himself. Josh Elliot was a man who didn't have a past. He was a young adult placed into this world with one goal in mind, and that was to build his own empire in Willow Creek, and this was going to happen by any means necessary. Josh would construct an underground prison that strongly resembles the back rooms, and slowly he would imprison his neighbors and kill them. Through the actions of Josh in his attempt to build an empire, we will see the decisions he makes that shows us how much of a terrible person he really is, and the chaotic life that he brings to Willow Creek. We had a character by the name of Diva. I believe she was used to getting the Elliot household some money by moving in. She was then moved into the Bob Pancake household, where she walled off the balcony after Bob Pancake stepped outside. This resulted in Bob Pancake's perishing due to the outside elements. Diva attempts to take over the family and household, almost as if she was a messenger from Josh Elliot. Josh Elliot had found the one, an elder lady by the name of Jenna Moyer. Why Josh gravitated towards her, I have no idea, but they connected instantly. I decided to roll with it and let them be happy. With Jenna being old, it means that Josh's partner may be gone sooner than him. I thought he had a lot, but always pushed it away. They fell in love rather quick. Josh pushed the idea that she and her daughter should move in, and they did. Despite the connection that him and Jenna had, it would appear that Jenna had a daughter by the name of Alex Moyer. She would move in along with Jenna into Josh's house. After leaving Josh unattended, he would begin flirting with Alex as Jenna lays in bed in the other room. Josh knew to keep his options open. Josh was feeling a little frisky and decided to woohoo Jenna 2 times in a row. The game sent a message after the first time, letting Josh know that Jenna was exhausted, but he wanted a second round and convinced her to go again. After the second round, Jenna had stood up from bed, took a couple of steps, and fell forward. She was dead, and it was by her own lover. Since the death of Jenna, her daughter Alex Moyer was next in line, but after Jenna, Josh looked at women as a temporary distraction, another cog in his machine that is his empire. Josh wasn't with Alex long before he started cheating on her with Sawyer. After the death of Jenna, her ghostly figure can be seen wandering the house. Jenna is stuck on a loop of some sort as she is constantly making bowls of mac and cheese but never eating it since she's a ghost. Alex wasn't surprised to see her mother as a ghost. It's like Alex was mad at Jenna. Their relationship before her death was amazing. They were best friends, but now Jenna and Alex have found themselves hating each other, and I couldn't figure out why. Sawyer was just like the others. They fell for Josh's sweet nothings. She was also the first prisoner of his empire. Josh had built a secret passage in his house that had led to a small room. This room had everything you needed to survive: a fridge, a bed, a microwave, a computer, and a paint easel. Sawyer was going to sell paintings to make the household some money. She was relatively happy with her placement for the first little while. She lived off microwave food and never showered. She sat on the computer for the majority of her day. Some time goes by in the Sims world, and this Sim shows up at Josh's door and invites herself in and jumps on Josh's computer. Josh had yelled at her a couple of times and told her to leave, but she just won't. Josh and Alex went to work, leaving this stranger whose name is Selena home alone. She breaks several of the household items like the sink, the bathroom toilet, and Josh's computer. When Josh came home and saw Selena still there, and the mess she had made, it was decided that Josh would build another extension to his house. A good amount of time passes by, and Sawyer is in her elder years. Her time is consumed by the computer, which means nothing ever gets done. She had made the household around $500. Selena was invited back to the household by Alex Moyer. The last time Selena was here, her and Josh had gotten into a fistfight over his broken computer. Josh parted ways from the two for a little while after, and a few minutes later, I went back to check in on them, and they were hiding outside and kissing. At this point, Josh and Alex were both cheating on each other. The next time Alex sees her, she will ask Selena to move in. Before Selena came over, this man in the red shirt had entered Josh's home and had a conversation with him. The two were getting along pretty damn well, actually. But maybe this could be the first friend that Josh ever has. The man in the red shirt proceeded to walk into Josh's yard and kick his trash can over. He then laughs. He laughs like a villain. And from here, Josh quickly moved him into his home. His whole family came with him. The only two people from his family that didn't join the Josh Elliot household was his wife and infant daughter. They were the luckiest two out of his whole family. The whole family was relocated under Josh's house where his new backrooms style prison was finally opened. The family seemed to be doing well for now. At this point, the game had given us a notification that Josh was approaching his elder years. It seemed like everything he had dreamed of was coming to a close. His empire that he worked so hard for will now be over, sooner than he thought. He thought he had more time. Josh had an idea. He would get Alex Moyer pregnant and have her carry his bloodline. His son or daughters will grow up in the same house, doing the same thing that Josh had been doing since he moved here. After years of isolation, Sawyer was moved downstairs into the basement with the other family. Josh needed the extra room for his own family. Josh Elliot II was born. At the time of this photo, he was actually a toddler. Josh was loving his normal life. It's almost like for a while he had forgotten the horrible stuff he had done to others. Lost in his own life, his own happiness. But how does someone like this get to be happy? A little while after the birth of Josh Elliot II, the two, Josh and Alex, had went through a rough patch. It's almost like they couldn't look after Josh Elliot II. Alex was constantly stuck taking care of their kid, and Josh was always off at work, or just doing whatever he wanted, mainly going on his fashion blog on his computer. This left Josh Elliot II to roam the house alone majority of the time, as Alex was always sleeping due to the amount of work that Josh Elliot II required. A nanny was in the house at this point, taking care of Josh Elliot II so he wouldn't be taken away. At this point in our timeline, the basement family was doing pretty terrible. Sawyer was at the end of her life and the others were constantly sad. This family is notorious for breaking things, so one of them is becoming a high level in handiness since they broke so much stuff so many times. They kept on making food, but no one is eating it. It's almost like they're too depressed to eat. After this photo, I had been playing The Sims 4 quite some time and had decided to take a break. We come back to an update. The Elliot family was doing pretty decent, except for the fact that Josh and Alex refused to take care of Josh Elliot II. They didn't have the energy to keep up with such a young soul. Alex was constantly falling asleep and Josh was too busy with his fashion blog. In this slide, we could see the nanny, Kira Hopkins, that was hired to care for Josh Elliot II. This was the only way to avoid Josh Elliot II being taken away by Child Protective Services. Kira would spend more time with Josh Elliot II than his own parents. Fred Lockhart, the man in the red shirt, father of the basement family, had finally passed away. His life was extremely uncomfortable after the trash can incident. He got his whole family here because of it. Fred Lockhart would pass away due to old age, another victim in the empire of Josh Elliot. Over time, Josh and Alex's relationship would degrade. They were constantly fighting. Their love meter went from full to a little less than halfway. Alex was very depressed at this point, waking up and going to work every day just to only come home and cry herself to sleep. If I didn't intervene, I'm sure she would have died. She was barely taking care of herself. After a couple of days, it was certain that they wouldn't last long. Josh began finding other ladies to keep himself busy. Josh Elliot II was now a child. Kira Hopkins still cared for him, and she cared for him so much that Kira had moved in with the family. It seems like Kira was his only friend. Josh Elliot II was a talented boy. His favorite hobby was playing the piano, and he was really good at it. The family would sit around and watch him play. It was actually wholesome to watch, a small break from the chaos of the empire. Since Alex was gone at work all day, this gave Josh Elliot time to himself. Alex worked long days and long nights, but this didn't stop Josh from cheating. The stress of his family relationship has pushed him to find happiness in other girls. Josh had chosen the nanny, Kira Hopkins, as the person who he wants to spend his time with. Alex Moyer never found out about Kira the nanny and Josh's relationship. Josh had broke things off with Alex and had asked her to move out, which she did. She had moved in with a custom family that I created called the Gupta residence. A common glitch or a problem I kept on having was switching back to the Elliot family or resuming my game and seeing the backroom prisoners had somehow gotten onto the ground level. This would leave the prisoners roaming the area where Josh Elliot and his family lives, giving them temporary freedom. But I always had to move them back downstairs. One of the basement family members, or Lakeisha, and Josh had gotten along, so I kept her upstairs. I had finally received the news. Josh was an elder. His empire, his reign, and his life was coming to a close. There was so much more that he wanted to accomplish, but he knew his kin would have to carry on his legacy, or so he had hoped. Since Josh was nearing the end of his life, he decided to have another child, and this time it was with Lakeisha. Josh holds his newborn daughter. Say hello to Poppy Elliot III. Once Josh hit his elder age, he quit his job to be around his family while he still can. He attempts to live his life in comfort. He spends missed time with Josh Elliot II as he watches him play piano. Poppy Elliot III is now a toddler. She has fun dancing and playing with her parents. After retiring, Josh builds a garden behind his house, a rocky pathway that leads up to the grave of his lost love, Jenna Moyer. Jenna is and was the love of Josh's life. He can't love nobody else the same way he loved her. She will always be missed by Josh. Since adding this area, Josh will occasionally come out here to sit down and either talk to the gravestone or watch it. A space to the right of the gravestone seems to be opened, as Josh's headstone will be placed there after death. Josh's time was coming to a close at this point. He decided to have a wedding and married Lakeisha. This was an impulsive decision, as he was starting to feel his biological clock running out. The day after Josh's wedding, Josh steps outside to admire the grave of his lost love. One of the backroom's prisoners had passed away. It would also seem like Kira Hopkins was placed into the backroom's prison after dedicating her whole life to taking care of Josh Elliot, unlike his parents. The day has finally come. Josh Elliot had passed away on his kitchen floor after clutching his chest. He was very old at this point, and his heart was done, and his soul will rest easy now. This is a day that I've been dreading for a long time. This may be the end of Josh Elliot, but this is only the start of something greater than himself. He's a little sad that he won't be around to see it though. Josh's family had stumbled upon his corpse as it laid on the floor in the kitchen. Quite traumatizing to say the least, but his family knew that he was happy before his passing. His family sits by as they mourn the loss of their father. Lakeisha attempts to persuade Death to give Josh Elliot another chance, but Death wasn't having it. Josh Elliot's grave has now been placed in the backyard. The once empty space has now been filled. Josh Elliot has been put to rest next to his lover. A bit of time passes by on our timeline. Josh Elliot II is a young adult at this point. He even has a girlfriend. Poppy Elliot is much older as well. Kira the nanny and Lakeisha, or Josh Elliot's ex-wife, had gotten together as they sleep in the same bed. Kira had also died shortly after taking these pictures, as we can see her on the right hand side in this picture. In this picture, we can see that Josh Elliot has a new family in the backroom's prison, the Spencer Kim family. They were brainwashed into loving painting, and that's what they did majority of the time. So far, they were content with their life, as it's just a constant loop of mundane activities and painting. One thing that wasn't mentioned was Josh Elliot's girlfriend was secretly an alien and he didn't know. He only found out after he had a kid with her, and the kid apparently had purple skin. Josh Elliot II at one point cheated on his girlfriend with a neighbor, and it resulted in Josh Elliot having 2 unplanned children that were not originally a part of his empire. It would become apparent that Josh Elliot II woohooed a lot more times, and it gained him a larger family than expected. The picture below that we can zoom in and make bigger shows Josh Elliot II sleeping at his neighbor's house, a picture showing the graveyard behind Josh Elliot's house slowly gaining more headstones as the generations pass and loved ones pass away. This brother and sister were really good friends and stuck by each other until the prison took their lives. They needed one another, and it was apparent after observation. We can see Josh Elliot II fishing with a neighbor. No one suspects a thing that he's doing. A lot of time passes by in the Sims world. The Spencer Kim, brother and sister that I mentioned before, are the only ones left in the back room. I know it says 4th, but I messed that up. After a good bit of time, we can see that Josh Elliot III has grown up. We see him struggling with cooking and looking miserable at the same time. He's the only person in the upstairs part of the house. We come to find out that he's struggling with the weight of the empire on his shoulders. His school grades are very low, he's always tense, and his social life and social skills are both terrible. He's only got a few months until he graduates high school, and he feels like he can't do both at once. If he can manage to find a wealthy sim, then he's set for life. But for now, he attempts to find peace in the everyday routine. He finds it difficult and maybe even questions the Josh Elliot empire. At the bottom of this, we can see a note explaining that Josh Elliot II had perished in a cooking accident, but it wasn't documented. It would appear that the death of Josh Elliot II would have an overall effect on the Josh Elliot empire, as he was very dedicated to the cause, attempting to carry the original king's torch, but it was tragically cut short. Here, we can see Josh Elliot III and his mundane, everyday life. He seems happier now that he's graduated high school, but he seems to have lost sight of the Josh Elliot empire. At this point, the Spencer Kim brother and sister are long gone, and the backrooms prison below his house gathers dust and is abandoned at this point. With Josh Elliot II dead and no longer able to continue his father's legacy, it seems that Josh Elliot III has switched, or actually never even began his journey to the top of the empire. He wanted simplicity.